You are sitting at a desk. A glowing screen is in front of you. You have a task to complete. It is important. Your future depends on it. But instead of typing the first word, you reach into your pocket. You pull out your phone. You open an app and begin to scroll. You are fully aware that you are actively ruining your own life. You feel a heavy, sinking guilt in your chest. You tell yourself that you will start in exactly 5 minutes. 5 minutes turns into an hour. An hour turns into a wasted day. Why do you do this? Society has a very simple, cruel label for this behavior. Laziness, a lack of discipline, a fundamental failure of your character. But the real answer is far stranger. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are the victim of a massive evolutionary mismatch. Your brain is a highly advanced survival machine, but it is running on a million-year-old operating system. To understand why you cannot force yourself to work, you have to look at the ancient world that built you. For 99.9% of human history, your ancestors lived in what anthropologists call an immediate return environment. Every single action they took had an immediate, visible result. If they were freezing, they built a fire, and they were instantly warm. If they were starving, they hunted a deer, and they were instantly fed. If they saw a predator, they ran away, and they were instantly safe. There was no concept of a distant, abstract future. No one was saving calories for retirement. No one was studying a textbook to get a tribal promotion in 5 years. The human brain was perfectly optimized to solve problems that existed in the present moment. Your dopamine system evolved to reward you for immediate survival. But then, human beings invented civilization. We created a delayed return environment. This is a world where the choices you make today will not pay off for months or even years. You study for a degree that takes 4 years to finish. You save money for a house you will buy in a decade. You work for a paycheck that arrives at the end of the month. Your environment completely changed, but the wetware inside your skull did not. Your primitive brain does not understand the future. It literally cannot comprehend a reward that is 30 days away. When you sit down at your desk to work on a difficult, long-term project, your brain calculates the immediate payoff. It sees nothing. It registers the effort as a complete waste of precious biological energy. It screams a single powerful command into your nervous system: stop. Why burn calories right now for a reward that does not physically exist? This biological glitch goes much deeper than just energy conservation. It alters how you perceive your own identity. You genuinely believe that you care about your future. You want to be successful, healthy, and stress-free next week. But neuroimaging proves that you are lying to yourself. Dr. Hal Hershfield, a psychologist at UCLA, decided to look directly inside the human mind to understand procrastination. He placed subjects into an fMRI scanner. He asked them to think about themselves in the present moment. As expected, the regions of the brain associated with self-awareness and identity lit up brightly. Then, he asked them to think about a complete stranger, a celebrity they had never met. The brain activity shifted drastically. The self-awareness zones went dark. Finally, he asked the subjects to think about themselves in the future. He asked them to imagine their own lives just 10 years down the line. The results were terrifying. When you think about your future self, the self-awareness regions of your brain remain completely dark. Your brain processes the image of the future you using the exact same neural pathways it uses to process a complete stranger. You procrastinate because your brain genuinely believes that the person who has to do the work tomorrow is not you. It feels absolutely zero empathy for that stranger. Why should you suffer today just so some unknown person can succeed next week? Let the stranger deal with the stress. Let the stranger do the hard work. Your brain prioritizes the current, physical self above all else. It demands an immediate return. But a lack of empathy for your future self does not fully explain the intense physical discomfort you feel when you try to start a task. Why does looking at a blank document physically hurt? Why does your chest tighten? Dr. Piers Steel, a leading researcher on the science of motivation, spent decades analyzing this exact feeling. He discovered that procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation problem. When you look at a difficult task, your brain anticipates negative emotions. It anticipates boredom, frustration, self-doubt, and the terrifying fear of failure. Your amygdala, the ancient alarm bell located deep inside your brain, detects these negative emotions. It does not differentiate between psychological stress and physical danger. To your amygdala, the anxiety of a looming deadline feels exactly the same as the anxiety of an approaching predator. It triggers a mild fight-or-flight response. Your body gets a sudden spike of adrenaline. Your brain demands that you escape the threat immediately. But you cannot run away from a digital document. You cannot physically fight a spreadsheet. So how does your brain escape? It forces you to seek a distraction. It pushes you toward an immediate, cheap source of comfort to soothe the burning anxiety. This is why you grab your phone. The phone is not the problem. The phone is a high-tech pacifier that numbs the evolutionary pain of the delayed return environment. This creates a deadly, self-reinforcing cycle inside your nervous system. Dr. Judson Brewer, a neuroscientist specializing in habit formation, mapped exactly how this cycle destroys your potential. It is called reward-based learning. It has three simple parts: a trigger, a behavior, and a reward. The trigger is the negative emotion. You feel overwhelmed by the project in front of you. The behavior is the escape. You open a social media app. The reward is the sudden artificial flood of dopamine and the temporary relief from your anxiety. Every single time you do this, your brain rewires its own circuitry. It learns that the fastest way to survive the pain of hard work is to scroll. After a few months, this action bypasses your conscious control entirely. You do not even realize you have picked up your phone until 10 minutes have already passed. You are no longer making a choice. You are a biological machine executing an automated survival script. So how do you beat a million-year-old operating system? How do you force a prehistoric brain to survive in a modern, delayed world? You cannot rely on willpower. Willpower is a limited resource that burns out quickly when you are tired or stressed. You cannot fight your evolution. You have to hack it. You have to manipulate the ancient software into working for you. The first step is to completely eliminate the threat response. When your brain looks at a massive 5-hour project, the amygdala panics. The perceived pain is too high. You must shrink the pain until the brain no longer registers it as a threat. You do this using the 2-minute rule. You do not commit to finishing the project. You do not even commit to working for an hour. You commit to working for exactly 2 minutes. You tell your brain that you are only going to type one single sentence, and then you are allowed to stop. This completely bypasses the amygdala. 2 minutes of effort is not a threat. It is an immediate, manageable action. But a strange biological phenomenon happens once you cross that 2-minute threshold. The friction of starting disappears. The physical resistance evaporates. Your brain shifts from a state of avoidance into a state of active engagement. You often find yourself working for an hour simply because the ancient alarm bell finally turned off. The second step is to bridge the psychological gap between you and the stranger in the future. You have to force your brain to feel empathy for the person you will become tomorrow. The most effective way to do this is to practice extreme self-compassion. Studies show that people who harshly punish themselves for procrastinating are actually far more likely to procrastinate again the next day. The guilt and shame become new negative emotions. They become new triggers for the amygdala. To break the cycle, you must forgive yourself immediately when you fail. You must treat your past self with the exact same kindness you would show a struggling friend. When you remove the heavy burden of guilt, the task becomes less terrifying. The future self stops feeling like a distant, abstract stranger and starts feeling like a teammate. You stop running away from the work and you start building a bridge to a better reality. You are an ancient creature navigating an incredibly unnatural world. Your biology was designed for immediate survival in the wilderness, not for long-term productivity in a digital society. Procrastination is not a moral failing. It is a biological default. But understanding the glitch is the key to escaping it. When you recognize the panic in your chest as an evolutionary illusion, it loses its power over you. When you shrink the task to bypass the alarm, you regain control of your own hands. You sit at a desk. A glowing screen is in front of you. You have a task to complete. The urge to escape flares up in your chest. But this time, you do not reach into your pocket. You do not open the app. You place your hands on the keyboard. You start typing.